and today we're going to be talking about the movie Marley and Me. This is such a great movie. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. What we are going to be discussing today is some lessons we can learn from this movie. Okay, so first, I want to start on a personal note. So I'd like you to meet my dog, Duke. Duke was my first dog. In the time that I had Duke, he actually jumped through a closed window to get out of a burglar. He did eat a couch. He had a run in with a skunk. Um, and on a consistent basis would make a huge mess with his dog food. One time, he got into a 50-pound bag of dog food when he was about 10 weeks old and proceeded to drag through the house, and it created this like 100-foot long trail of just dog food. It was an awful mess. He proceeded to roll around in it and play in it. Um, Duke would get so excited to see me every time I came home from school, he would literally pee everywhere. So imagine a 100-pound dog wagging an enormous tail as fast as and hard as he could and just peeing all over the place. My mother would see me coming and she would try to let him out before I got to the door. Let's just say I had a lot of practice spraying down the entryway of my house. Which leads me to the fall of 1999. Um, I left home for college at NAU, and that was the last time I ever saw my best friend. While I was at school, Duke went to heaven, and I just absolutely loved that crazy dog. He slept at the foot of my bed. We were inseparable when I was growing up. Fast forward, I'd like you to meet my beautiful wife, Desiree. In 2006, I got married to this pretty lady, and one night she came home and said, "Hey, I rented us a movie to watch. It's called Marley and Me." I was like, "Cool, let's check it out." Fast forward to 2 hours later, and yeah, that was me bawling on the couch. My wife was like, "What is wrong with you?" Um, I was able to put together a few tearful words in between sobs about how much I miss my dog. Um, but she had no idea about Duke and the connection I had with him. And then to watch this movie, that was pretty close to what my reaction was after watching this movie. I will not be afraid to admit I cried like a baby. All right, so this leads us to our kind of analysis with this film, which is why did this movie impact me so greatly, and how can I, as a filmmaker, get that kind of power to control an audience like that? Because this book, this movie, this book that was based off of is just known for making people cry. And so these are the two questions that we are going to address today. Okay, let's get to some cultural context stuff. So this is part of our IB learning and writing is looking outside the scope of the film itself and maybe pulling in some additional information. So here's some background on the movie. So Marley and Me is a 2008 American comedy. It was directed by David Frankel and written by Scott Frank and Don Roots, and is based off the memoir of John Grogan. John Grogan was a is a reporter, a writer. The film stars Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston as the owners of Marley, a Labrador Retriever. Marley and Me was released in the United States and Canada on December 25th, 2008. It set a box office record for the largest Christmas day ever with $14.75 million in ticket sales. The film was followed by a 2011 a direct-to-video prequel called Marley and Me: The Puppy Years. So if you like this movie, I have not seen the sequel or the prequel in this case. But if you like dogs, maybe it's worth checking it out. Let me know in the comments if it's any good, if I should rent it or not. Okay, some facts about dogs. So a little more cultural context. That's actually a real picture of John Gordon. What's his name? John Grogan. John Grogan. And this is Marley, the real life picture there. Um, According to the Pet Owner Survey, there are approximately 89.7 million dogs owned in the United States as of 2017, and approximately 3.2 million shelter animals are adopted each year. That's 1.6 million dogs and 1.6 million cats. I don't know why anyone would ever want to adopt a cat, but to each his own, I guess. Um, about 710,000 animals who enter shelters as strays are actually returned to their owners. Of those, 620,000 are dogs and only about 90,000 are cats. Um, There are approximately 800,000 dogs and cats euthanized in shelters each year, um, which is really sad, but I get why they do it. But just no, go adopt a dog. Make a dog's day or cat if you're into that thing. A couple of fun facts about this movie. There are actually 22 different dogs that played Marley, and you will actually notice if you look at him some slight differences in his coloration and things like that throughout the film, and trained to do different things. Owen Wilson's real life parents actually played his parents in the movie. His mother's biggest problem was remembering not to call him Owen. Whenever Marley licks a person or object in the film, baby food was used to entice the dog to lick. The same technique was used with the diaper to encourage the dog to get it. All food was deemed safe for consumption, including the dog's vomit, which was just dog food soaked in water. So if you want to make dog vomit, there you go. So let's get back to our two essential questions. The first one is, why did this movie impact me so greatly, and how can I get that kind of power to control an audience? Um, well, to have a great film, the first thing you have to have is conflict. And the conflict in this film, there's actually two types of conflict that I was able to identify. The two main ones, in my opinion. The first one is man versus nature. So man versus dog. There's that conflict, and it's there from the very beginning, and it is constant throughout the film. Um, Eventually, we get to the kind of man versus self at times, just overcoming the personal struggles of family life. And this movie goes so deep into that family life stuff and just kind of all the things that you deal with. It touches upon postpartum depression, the dog adoption stuff, of course. But just, Owen Wilson, there's a scene where he's sitting in his car and everything's happening in the house and he's just choosing not to engage, and Jennifer Aniston's like waving him in, like, come on, let's go. um, and just those kind of ebbs and flows of marriage. And one of the things I really like about this film is that it's real. It's something that we can all understand, and it's kind of just the ebbs and flows of life. And it's just centered around this dog. Which brings us to the answer to our question, and this is the answer for both questions. Um, there's certainly a lot of great movies that have been made with dog as the main character stars. You got cartoon dogs and Lassie, for example. But there are very few movies where dogs on the big screen actually play an ordinary, just food swiping, pillow chewing, leash pulling kind of dog. Um, and that's why I think this movie is kind of special. Um, it's just relatable. That's really the power behind this film. So after all, who doesn't either own a dog like this or know someone who has a dog like this? Um, not all dogs can be a super dog, as you can imagine. Okay, so you've seen the film, and we've kind of identified and answered those two questions. Is that it's relatable, and so kind of here's the next step is I'm going to ask you to kind of take some time and reflect about something. What is something in your life that has conflict and is relatable to a wide audience? So I want to take some time to think about that. We all have something in our lives that maybe it's not a Marley and Me, but something. And if you can identify what that is, and it's got that kind of that conflict, it doesn't have to be a happy ending. It could be a comedy. There's so many things that it could morph into. But if you can identify that thing, and you can write about it and find those moments to kind of include, then you have a great start to a movie. So that's your challenge. Is we're going to be blogging about that question. What are some things in your life that have conflict and is relatable to a wider audience? All right, I look forward to seeing what you guys write. Just a quick message about all the craziness going on in the world. Stay safe, stay clean, wash those hands, get outside, guys. Even though we're doing the social distancing thing, get some exercise, get some sun, some vitamin D, and feel free to contact myself or Mrs. Caraway if you have questions. We are here to help, and we are just kind of hanging out, ready to help you with whatever you need. So enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the films. We're going to be watching some more films in the very near future. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will be in touch soon.